Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dalal. So this week I'm going to take you through a bunch of SEBI orders and ask you, do you think there is any method to this madness? I'm talking about all the problems that every one of us who knows anything about the stock markets have to do with price manipulation, insider trading, fraudulent trading. So let's start with what happened about a week ago. So Securities and Exchange Board of India did something which created a storm on social media. It decided on 13 Jan that Hemant Ghai, host of a CNBC Awaaz talk show, had been involved in price manipulation with his family and issued orders against him. People erupted with a sense of vindication. And they talked about other media which was probably into this kind of wrongdoing and whether SEBI needs to take a lot more action. We all know that there are innumerable complaints about market manipulation. So is this a great thing? Of course it is. The fact whenever the regulator acts decisively, we are all praised for it and we applaud the decision. But I'm going to take you through 5 recent orders and ask you, what do you think about the brazen, convoluted, crazy process of SEBI orders and what really goes on? So this is a Byzantine system. What am I going to talk about this time? So there are 5 cases. So SEBI imposes a penalty in some cases, it doesn't. So I'll look at 3 specific examples. So what happens in the first case? It is that SEBI punishes someone, imposes a monetary penalty. This goes to the Securities Appellate Tribunal. The tribunal says, no, sorry, we are taking off the penalty. Warning is enough. SEBI rushes off to the Supreme Court and says, how can this happen? I'll explain that in detail. In the second case, SEBI itself generously says, you're guilty of insider trading, but don't worry, I'm not going to impose a penalty. This case also goes into appeal, and I'll tell you why. I'll come later. It is crazy. So why is SEBI being generous? What happened to the minimum penalty that argued in the first case? We don't know because nobody knows what SEBI does. The third is an even crazier one where the managing director is indicted with an ex parte order in the middle of COVID and draconian action with a long detailed order, but we don't know much about it. So let me start with the first one. Okay, so the first one has 2 people. There's a Bharti Goyal and a Lakshmikant Vyas who have gone and challenged a SEBI order before the Securities Appellate Tribunal. These are 2 individuals and Bharti Goyal is in fact arguing her case herself. So what is the case about? 16 people have been investigated by the Securities and Exchange Board of India on the charge that they ramped up the shares of Mapro Industries from 1st July 2014 to 30th November 2014. The price rose from 79.15 rupees to 493.40. So SEBI first started with investigating 6 entities which probably came up on its real-time online trading system. We don't know how. It increased it to 16 by adding 10 more. Now these 2, Goyal and Vyas, were part of these 10 more. These 10 weren't directly connected with the first 6, but SEBI says the pattern of your trading indicates that you were also involved in the price manipulation. It imposed a penalty of 5 lakhs on each of them. Now Goyal and Vyas filed separate petitions, they're not connected with each other, and went to SAT. So when they went to SAT, they argued that we had nothing to do with this, we are small people, we had small trades, and the trades are small, let me tell you. So Bharti Goyal had purchased only 284 shares in 9 transactions. Vyas claimed he bought only 251 shares in 7 transactions. But the beauty is that these thinly traded shares can be manipulated so easily that SEBI's entire investigation is only about 43 trades and 1174 shares among the new ones that are added on. So thinly traded shares are easily manipulated on the market. This is something that all of you as investors ought to know, which is why when you get a stock tip, don't jump into it because there is no liquidity. The price moves up and down. Now, what did SEBI tell SAT? SEBI says there's something very interesting that these people were doing. So they were placing orders way above the last traded price and putting it fairly early into the system in the day. Now, why would an investor want to buy shares not at the lowest price they can get, but actually put in a price in the system which is much higher than the last traded price? So obviously SEBI said this is to signal that there is a market at that price the next day and to help push the stock price up. It sounds very correct and logical to any of us. What happened is the Securities and Appellate Tribunal obviously felt sympathetic and decided that we want to be, the transactions are very small, there's a thin dividing line between whether they just did something schizophrenic or whether the dots had been connected, and SEBI had done enough of work to prove that these were involved with all the 16 total parties that SEBI was investigating. So SAT didn't say that they're innocent, but they said there is benefit of doubt to be given to them, and that we will waive off the monetary penalty but issue a strong warning that if this kind of transaction happens again, then it will be looked at differently. So this case, you think, would be over? Obviously not. SEBI is furious. It says, how can SAT waive a monetary penalty? It doesn't even have the jurisdiction to do so. In fact, it not only went to the Supreme Court, but it filed a civil appeal, got the best legal brains, none less than the Attorney General K.K. Venugopal arguing for it. It came up before a bench of Justice Chandrachud, Indira Banerjee and Justice Sanjeev Khanna on 5th Jan 2021, very recently. The Attorney General argued that SAT had no jurisdiction. There is a minimum penalty of 5 lakhs which goes from 5 to 25 crore. Okay, this is a huge band that SEBI has, and it is not possible for SAT to convert a monetary penalty into a warning. It is beyond its jurisdiction. So the Supreme Court has stayed the order, and it depends on what's going to happen. If it's going to be heard there, these two individuals, very small traders who've got a penalty of 5 lakhs, will either have to decide that they're going to argue. Remember, Bharti Goyal didn't even have a lawyer, she argued it herself. So remains to be seen what happens. But case 1, SEBI has taken a very strong stand that minimum penalty is 5 lakhs. SAT cannot waive it, and it's serious enough that we will go to the Supreme Court and have the Attorney General argue, and he's pointed out that there are many cases in which SAT has done this, and that's why we're coming to it. Case 1 is over. Case 2, monetary penalty is not imposed by SEBI itself. So this is more interesting. There's somebody called Utsav Pathak, who's an employee of Morgan Stanley, or he was in 2013. He was working on an open offer that Morgan Stanley was making on behalf of McGraw-Hill Asian Holdings to acquire a 20% stake in CRISIL. CRISIL, as you know, is a top rating agency. On 3rd June 2013, McGraw-Hill actually made this open offer at a price of 1210, and the traded price of CRISIL on that day was 1129.90. So obviously when an open offer is at a much higher price, the CRISIL shares jumped up 20% and hit the upper circuit. SEBI found at that time that Mr. Utsav Pathak's sister, her father-in-law and mother-in-law had traded in the shares of CRISIL. They had bought shares of CRISIL in advance and they sold them on the day of the open offer and made a nice fat profit of 38 lakhs. Okay. Utsav Pathak denied that he had anything to do with it. He said that they are independent professionals. He had not shared the information. But SEBI had discovered a lot more. For instance, they discovered 3 things. One is the sister's family had never traded in such large quantities as they did in CRISIL. Second, that they traded heavily only in this scrip and sold the shares on the very day that the open offer happened. Almost like they knew that the offer is going to be at a much higher price. Third, one family member even borrowed 1 crore of rupees, sold existing holdings that he had to create liquidity to buy a lot of CRISIL stock in advance and sell it on that day. So, if you ask me, fairly good evidence, right? Good job, SEBI, as one would say. Now, it turns out that there was a separate, so this is an adjudication that happened. There was a separate adjudication or investigation, whatever SEBI's nomenclature, into what the sister's family did. Now, they filed for settlement. Now, As you know, SEBI settlements are that you don't admit or deny any guilt, but you pay the amount of money that SEBI asked you to pay, which apparently included an interest component, and the amount they paid was huge. It was over 2 crores. Okay, so it includes the entire profit that they made, and the amount was big, over 2 crores. Utsav himself resigned from Morgan Stanley on 31st December. So it's dragging all this time. We're talking about a 2013 case that's going on until 2018. So what does SEBI's officer say? Now he is the one who's being very benevolent and sympathetic. He says, I'm not inclined to impose any penalty on Utsav because poor chap has lost his job, and his family apparently, where he says he has nothing to do with them, has not given them any tip, has paid 2 crore already. What is the connection? We don't know. We know that settlement decisions go to a high powered committee. How is it linked? SEBI doesn't tell us, right? But it doesn't stop here. So what does Utsav Pathak do? He lawyers up, gets an expensive lawyer, files an appeal before the SAT. And what is his case before the SAT? He does not even want the stigma of being held guilty of having passed on this information, being what they call a tipper, and to his sister who's the tippy and her family. And so he wants this, he wants to be fully exonerated, and he thinks SAT is going to do it. So his lawyer argues that, hey look, SEBI did not even impose a penalty on me, and there is another case where somebody else called Ajay Bala made a profit of over 5 crores. SEBI didn't even bother about that. Now I have not investigated that case. It is curious. In fact, it adds another mystery and dimension to what on earth SEBI does and who it penalizes. But he says that SEBI didn't impose a penalty on him, so why me? I should be fully exonerated. So not only have I not paid a penalty, but I don't even want this stain. SAT says nothing doing, rejects the argument and upholds SEBI's order. Again, great going SAT. We like the fact that this has happened. Question: what happened to that minimum 5 lakhs? You've gone to the Supreme Court on a much tinier case about some Bharti Goyal who's arguing on her own, because you said minimum penalty 5 lakhs. So in this case, because the sister and the father-in-law and the mother-in-law paid over 2 crore, you exonerated someone, forgotten about the 5 lakhs, even when you've indicted him for insider trading. And who's going to take it to the Supreme Court? Nobody. Why? Because nobody is aggrieved. What SEBI does, if it is mild, if it's benevolent, if it's kind, who's going to protest? That gives a lot of power to SEBI, right? To do what they want to. Think about it. Now, I come to the third case, which is Mr. Udayant Malhotra, who is the CEO and Managing Director of a company called Dynamic Technologies Limited. This was an ex parte order, bang in the middle of COVID, 15 June 2020. What does SEBI say? It says that Mr. Malhotra was trading on the basis of unpublished information. He sold a bunch of shares, actually made a notional loss. He avoided. So he says he sold a bunch of shares knowing that the results of his company are going to be bad and the price would go down. So he avoided a notional loss. They have a very detailed order and a convoluted way of coming to this number, but he sold 51,000 shares, and SEBI's calculation of loss avoidance is 3.83 crore. It's a big number. So what does SEBI decide? Act instantly. Doesn't matter that there is COVID. Money has to be deposited in an escrow account immediately. So it's being tough, right? We like SEBI being tough. But Mr. Malhotra, when he went to SAT, obviously had a huge story and an explanation which SEBI in an ex parte order had refused to listen to. It turns out, first let me tell you, SAT said there was no hurry in the middle of COVID, there was no need for such an extreme order, and it could have waited. There was no need to do this. Turns out that Mr. Malhotra says that he had pledged 50 crores worth of shares to a consortium of lenders. Among them, as part of the agreement, he was supposed to reduce the pledge, the holding that was under pledge, to 7.5%. It had to be in a particular date. There were a whole bunch of bankers. One of them was ILFS, one of them was ICICI Bank, and this sale had to be done. It was part of the covenants of this facility agreement that he had signed. Did SEBI take this on board? We don't know. But when SAT says that there was no hurry, this decision is stayed, SEBI didn't like it, SEBI rushed to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court heard it and agreed with SAT. They said that SAT was correct in setting aside the order. SEBI will now have to hear the matter again and pass a judgment. What is strange about this is, remember, the whole country was closed up. It's not a matter of life and death. It's not a matter that was going to shake up the markets one way or the other. There's a systemic risk of some kind. Why this extraordinarily harsh action? The whole-time member who issued this order, Mr. Anand Barua, has been with SEBI for nearly 30 years and surely is not an outsider who's parachuted into SEBI at the top level, hasn't had time to understand securities laws, so he knows the kind of pain that he was inflicting. What does this tell you? Does it show you any pattern, or does it seem like insider trading rules, manipulation rules, and the justice that you get and the orders that you get are like a game of snakes and ladders, where you hit the head of the snake and you're down one day, you're up the next day, SAT will say something, SEBI will say something. All this is in the middle of those innumerable complaints which just don't even get heard. And if you listened carefully to the dates, some of these go back to 2013, we are in 2021. SEBI itself was set up because we thought an independent regulator will mean fast justice, will stop wrongdoing. Is there any sign of it? Well, think about it and make up your mind. If you like what we said, tell people about Money Life News Bites and listen to our other videos and spread the word. Thank you.